Urek versus Luslec. Oh my god, what a fight, guys. But before we get into it, I need you guys to hit that sub. Your boy trying to get 2K before the year ends. Appreciate it, and let's get into it, because them elders, Garnak and them said, yeah, nah, we not getting involved in this top tier fight. And Urek was underestimating Luslec, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he talking about this is gonna be a warm-up, and Luslec said, transformation, bro, Power Ranger style. Nah, for real. But this transformation caused destruction, like causing, you know, Urek to get his ship out of there and the elders to actually retreat from the damage of the transformation. Luslec kind of turns into like an assault mode Meliodas type of thing, where his garments change and he seems to be channeling spells through this plant that he keeps between his palms. Now, as we start the fight, Urek seems to be underestimating him a bit, goes in for the attack immediately, with Luslec dodging and blasting him with like a blast of Shinsu, but it ends up not really doing that much, as Urek is able to counter, but again he misses, and Luslec ends up using another spell that causes like these giant rose blossoms to explode with Shinsu. This causes the elders to retreat back even further. I mean, at that point they need to just get out of there, but Urek decides to pop 10% of his strength and tries to attack Luslec, still ends up missing, and decides to go to 15, and he ends up catching Luslec and acknowledges that Luslec has a pretty tough defense. Now, Luslec is able to counter with a piercing technique, and I love that all Thug members use piercing techniques. I mean, it's a really cool thing that they all know it. He ends up causing Urek to actually block his attack, and Luslec acknowledges that Urek has a very tough defense as well. I also enjoyed the banter during the fight. It was really cool to see, especially since we learned that Urek may not share a partnership with Bei Ryuk. Urek mentions that I'm the vice commander, as Luslec says, yeah, you shouldn't be fighting me because I'm the commander of my army, so why are you just the vice commander? And then Urek says, well, I'll get a promotion for defeating you. Now, I don't know if this was a joke, but you can interpret that as it may not actually be a thing where it's a equal partnership between Ryuk and Urek. But do you guys realize that Luslec actually thinks he can win this fight? Because he goes on to tell Urek, like, yeah, you're not going to win that promotion anyway, especially since you're a hypocrite. And I'm inclined to agree with Luslec because Urek is a hypocrite. But Urek ends up shredding Luslec's spell, popping his 25%, and tells him, like, look, I ain't the killer, but don't push me. And Luslec basically like, yeah, that's not nice, and that's how the chapter ends. And look, we got a lot to talk about, but before we do that, subscribe for your boy, please and thank you. Now, let's talk about this hypocritical thing, right? So, I absolutely agree with Luslec here. How are you going to protect or try to help these family head people? The majority of the problems in the tower is caused by the corruption of the family heads. I mean, I understand that Thug's a crime syndicate, but my guy, like, these people absolutely do not care about the people of the tower. They don't care about who they kill. So how are you a righteous man, but the people you're trying to protect aren't righteous people? So I get that part, but this fight went crazy, guys. I mean, absolutely nuts. We can never, ever put smut on Luslec's name, okay? He carries Thug proudly, and he's actually a B tier in my list right now. Like, on top of his strength, his banter through the entire fight was really cool, really funny. I enjoyed it. Luslec is definitely him. Now, a lot of you guys seem to think that this should be a stomping, and it absolutely should not. And based on this, you shouldn't think that anymore. Luslec is known for using his hook, and he did not use it in this fight. He also showed that he has a form, which he probably has more forms. So if he didn't use his number one weapon and his number one form, most likely, then you can assume that just like Urek, who's using 25% of his strength, Luslec isn't using most of his strength. So I'll say that it probably takes Urek maybe 60 to 75% of his strength to probably completely defeat a serious Luslec, but that is extremely impressive, okay? I need you guys to understand the magnitude of this. Luslec is the pinnacle of tower-born strength, by far. Urek is the fourth strongest person in the tower. Like, that is not up for debate. Possibly the strongest, but fourth strongest definitely. Ari Han himself said that Urek was a better fighter than him. So, Ari Han is the strongest family head. Next to Zahard, of course, but the strongest. Now, if he says that, and then there are weaker family heads. And Urek, it takes him 25 and possibly 60 to 75 to defeat Luslec. What do you think the weaker family heads can do with Luslec? Probably not much. I mean, it'd probably be a high extreme death fight, but the only difference is that they're immortal. So that's the whole reason behind if Luslec moves, a family head or somebody equal has to move, because as you can see, Luslec can tussle with Urek, so he can absolutely tussle with a family head. I mean, I'm just super impressed with his abilities to fight. And again, if he gets serious, he can definitely tussle with a family head, guys. So the living god of Fug is extremely real thing. And I'll also say this for Urek, I understand why some people didn't think he was very impressive, because he didn't necessarily use any really techniques. Man's usually, you know, swung his arm, kicked his legs, and Shinsu reinforcement. But I imagine if you're not going to be serious, you're not going to use techniques. I mean, that's just like, you know, Steph Curry going out on a court and using his main crossover against a bunch of kids versus in the NBA. I mean, you're not going to get serious against somebody you're not serious against. So it's the same concept with Urek. I don't think he's being serious right now, though he is becoming more serious. I mean, as you can see, Luslec's power is based around darkness and plants, which is a very interesting concept, thinking in terms of power. I mean, if you guys don't know, plants in real life need a good balance of light and darkness. So I wonder if Luslec's power is actually a godly administrator, floor guardian like power that is based off darkness. But I imagine that Ryuk, the same as Luslec, has that level of strength, guys. I mean, the leaders of all these factions have to be top tier fighters at this point, and Luslec kind of proves that theory wholeheartedly. And as we know, Ryuk is a plant-based fighter as well. So I'm just super impressed on what a Towerborn can do against a regular. But nonetheless, absolutely cannot talk down on Luslec. This is the pinnacle of what a Slayer should or could be. Now granted, Luslec is extremely old. He ran with the Great Warriors. The man has untold amount of experience and strength, but that was lit, guys. So the chapter is 7.5 out of 10. Pure fight, no real lore, but Luslec is a G, man. But other than that, I'll see you guys Thursday, of course, and till then, cheers to a good week.